Coming up on the Greg and Tim Show podcast.
Are we getting kidnapped?
I appreciate everyone's comments.
Except for the one guy.
Except for the one guy that said our show was not great.
And the sheepdogs lean out of the van and yell, "You suck!" So you're the guy that ruins all the group chats. We mentioned Chaka Khan inadvertently in both of our first two episodes.
I think it's Chaka, but not Chaka. I'm not asking if it's a really serious addiction. I don't need people sharing that. Don't tell me I am addicted to.
Get your earballs ready, and welcome back to the Greg and Tim Show podcast. Here are your hosts, Greg and Tim.
Hey, we're back, Tim. Are you excited?
I'm excited. How are you doing today, Greg?
I am pumped. It is Friday. Well, when we post the podcast, it's Friday, so it's always like it's Friday in the middle of the week.
You know what? It's Friday today.
Friday!
Friday!
Oh,
no more work.
I kind of need those. I'll be right back.
Well, you know what? I've had such a great time in our first two episodes. Greg is still looking for the other piece of paper that he threw away. I'm going to get it over here. Here you go, Greg.
I do need these. I'm sorry. That was my mistake.
So how you doing, buddy?
I'm living life, loving life, living the dream.
He said, so this is what Greg says. He talks to anybody. He'll come up to them and he'll ask, "Are you living the dream?"
No. People say, "How you doing?" and I say, "Living the dream."
No, you go to people and
I do ask people if they are.
"Are you living the dream?" And invariably they say, "Yeah." They say nobody says no.
No, some people
life
say
is
no.
terrible.
Some people, one person, I will not name him, says, "I'm living someone's dream."
Yeah,
and I'm like, that makes no sense at all. But
you're not gonna say.
I'm not gonna say who says it.
What if it was a great person's dream?
Exactly.
That doesn't have to be but the way you said it, maybe that's.
And the guy, this person always sometimes goes.
This person always sometimes goes?
Sometimes
Did
always.
Did you say they always sometimes do something?
This person also sometimes says.
They every time sometimes say things sometimes.
Am I going to get to say this?
No.
Not every dream is a good dream. Some of them are nightmares.
Some of them are dark dreams.
So it's just like, you can't win with some people. But I'm, personally, living the dream.
That's awesome, Greg. And you are living the dream.
Hey, we got a whole bunch of stuff coming up today. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. Is it okay if we go a little bit longer than normal?
Absolutely. You know what? Like I said before, I've had a great time first couple episodes, and it's just a blast talking to you here about sports and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Et cetera. Well, we're gonna talk about a whole bunch of stuff today. I don't want to give away anything, but some of it rhymes with schmorts and
shorts
and schmyphone.
We're talking about shorts,
schmorts and schmyphone. Those are two of the topics we're going to talk about.
That's right.
And we are going to get ready for something that you want to talk about.
Yeah, but last time we explored the Banjo Bowl. Remember that?
Yep.
We reminisced about the Reading Rainbow.
Reading Rainbow.
And we ventured into the world of rejection therapy that Greg has had various opportunities over his life to experience.
We did a little question last episode about how that went. And the question surprisingly was, no, it's not morally wrong. And the other answer was, it's a gray area. Nobody said it was morally wrong. So nobody said yes.
I thought you said one person did.
Nope, not one person. You said I would have liked to have answered, and I would have said yes. But you don't understand how Instagram works. It's 24 hours.
How many people responded to that poll?
Like 8.
8?
Yeah.
And nobody said it was morally
Nobody
wrong?
said it was morally wrong.
I'm actually surprised. I could see the rationale to it.
I am not surprised. But hey, before you get too far into this rabbit hole of whatever you're going to ask me, that Reading Rainbow song, it reminds me of a song from another TV show.
Okay.
Do you remember this TV show called Three's Company?
Of course. It's a classic TV show. John Ritter.
So like the Reading Rainbow. Yep. I always think of now when I hear it, I can think of "Come and Knock on My Door."
He's been waiting for you.
Three's Company 2. And now I'm singing again, and I'm gonna hear it from some people that don't like my singing.
Just in time.
Oh yes. So yeah, the Three's Company. I loved that show. Jack Tripper. It had
Don Knotts was in that show. I love Don
Furley.
Knotts. I love Don Knotts.
Mr.
And he
Furley.
was in that show.
He was in another show. What's that show where he was a cop? He was like a police officer.
Yeah.
Was it Matlock?
No, he was just.
No, it
he
was
just
something
his
like
friend.
Matlock.
He was his friend in Matlock. He was like the next door neighbor. He was never.
No.
But you're thinking of when he was a cop in the show, the Griffin show.
Andy Griffin
The
show.
Andy Griffith show with,
Yes. Andy Griffith?
Yeah, Andy
Griffith or
yeah.
Griffin?
Do you remember who the Andy Griffith show starred?
Andy Griffith
That's correct.
and Don Knotts.
Wait, I was just saying.
Yeah, and there was
And
Chrissy,
who was Opie?
Chrissy Snow.
Who was Opie?
Opie was the kid with the red hair.
Yeah, but who's the actor?
Opie?
Famous actor.
Ron Howard.
Ron Howard. That's right. That's
Hey!
correct. Yep.
See, I'm not that dumb.
You get points.
Whenever Tim says I'm dumb, I don't believe him.
I never said you were dumb.
He just said I was terrible.
Actually, I have said that.
So, yeah. What do you think? Should we get right into some of these topics?
Absolutely. Let's get ready to get into some serious Wanderlust. By the way, I'm just going to stop here. Every show, Greg writes a script for us. I'm going to read this verbatim, word for word. Just wait. It says, "Oh, and get ready for some serious Wanderlust as we share our favorite travel destinations intertwined with sports experiences." Now, number one, I have heard that word before.
No, you haven't. You actually had to look it up.
I've heard that word before.
Okay.
But doesn't mean I knew what it was. And I actually Googled it. And it's funny because I love to travel. And that's literally what the word Wanderlust, as I smack my microphone.
Wanderlust means the love of travel.
Of travel. It's like the thing I love to do. And I didn't even know what it meant. But anyways, that's what we're going to do in this show.
We've also set up a timer there, so we won't have any more technical difficulties, so Billy doesn't screw up behind the camera again. So I think we were good last week.
Billy.
No, we did have technical difficulties, but we just cut it out of the show.
Billy.
Just like the Montreal Concords. So anyway, Tim.
Because you're running with your eyes closed. I don't know. It's just stuck in my head. Sorry.
I don't even know what you're saying.
It's a Stephen Curtis Chapman song. Billy, 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 you're a very busy man.
So you wanna get the show going or no?
You know what? We have
you
also
just sit here and listen
might
to you sing?
have we
Should
might
just
have
listen to
time.
Tim sing?
We could, but we might have time to also have a surprising twist that will explore a very intriguing question that I will reveal later on. All this and more right here on the Greg and Tim Show. Cheers to you, my friend.
Cheers. Let's roll.
Let's roll.
I stole your line. So, Tim.
Yes, Greg.
Now that we're rolling, I got a question for you.
Shoot.
What is your
rolling?
Keep that camera rolling. Make sure the place is rolling. Record.
Yeah.
I'm saying too much.
You know what? You actually don't have the worst singing voice. I'm just bugging you.
Can you name somebody who has a worse singing voice? No, don't do it. It's all good. So
it'll be like a romper room thing, and the horrible singing voice is.
How about
Adam?
At the end of the show, you'll say whose singing voice is bad by just saying goodbye to them.
You actually don't have that.
I don't know if you haven't watched one of our episodes. We always have a little exit to the show, which Tim does for us. So,
and usually the exit is at the end of the show.
It's near the end.
Near possibly by the
close
end.
To the end
close
yes.
to the end.
So I got a question for you, Tim.
Yep.
We talk about sports and we talk about our next trip coming up. We talked about that on the first episode. Our big spring break trip, which is going to be an epic trip, which probably won't be your most epic trip because you like to tell me that you've had multiple epic trips. But tell me something. What is the most memorable sporting event you've ever been to?
Memorable? I have the best single sporting event. So I have two. And I prompted this question the last time. It was the sporting event that is the best sporting event you've been to and the first team that had broke your heart.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to go back and answer the two questions, which I think are interesting questions to ask.
Sure.
So when I was 8 years old, I was just got into sports when
just
I was
a small little Timmy.
Yeah. I was small then, yeah. So when I was 8 years old, the first team I ever got to be a fan of was the Bombers, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. 84,
RCFL
Tom Clemens
football team,
won the Grey Cup. That was the first time I remember a sporting team that I was following in any way winning. And that's actually the first time I followed a sporting team. But the two sporting events that are the biggest and best for me is the first one was 2019 when the Bombers won. We were together here. Bombers won the first.
This
Grey
was
Cup.
our first trip together. This was, if you watch the first episode,
first Grey Cup in 29 years.
When we started the shenanigans.
And they won. The confetti was flying. Keith Urban was the halftime show. We won by convincing style by the end of the game. Great game.
Nicole Kidman wasn't there though, right?
I don't think so, no.
You looked for her a little bit though.
I did not
I
look
remember
for her.
you going through the crowd saying,
I,
Nicole!
she's not going to be there. She's not going to come to
I think it's because you didn't have an Australian accent.
Yeah. I definitely don't have an Australian accent.
No.
So that one, because it was so long since they won. It was 29 years. You have to remember the last time they won it was 1990. I would have been, 14 or whatever it is. I'm not doing the math very quickly.
I'm going to take this away from you.
Sure.
I'm just going to move this a little bit there. There.
So
just helping you out there,
that's
Timmy.
one of the two events. The other one was the 2004, if I'm not mistaken, World Juniors in Grand Forks. That's the year that had a 16-year-old Sidney Crosby, who didn't even do much in the tournament, but they had future NHL players that were in there. And I think we beat Russia in the final, something like 7-1.
Did you know I went to a Moose game?
Yeah.
Before they went, so they were doing like their round robin type of thing in Winnipeg, just like as a warm up. Sidney Crosby sat 2 rows behind me with the rest of the World Juniors for that game. They were in the concourse talking to people.
Yeah. 16 years old, he just hadn't hit the big time, obviously. But I remember they beat Russia 7-1, and Russia had, I think, Malkin or Ovechkin.
Ovechkin was crying on the side. Remember?
Yeah. They killed that team.
Sad. It was sad.
And after, what I really remember is after the game, and if you've ever been to the Ralph Eaglestad Arena in Grand Forks,
it's wonderful.
Inch for inch, in my opinion, the best hockey arena on the face of the planet.
Marble floors, marble walls. The place was built all with private money.
Absolutely. But it was basically because Canada was in there. It was all of Winnipeg had transplanted themselves into the Ralph Eaglestad. And
Engel.
Egel? Is it Eaglestad?
Engelstad.
Sorry.
Arena.
And
Arena.
If you know anything about
Ralph Engelstad Arena.
If you know whatever it's pronounced, if you know anything about Olympic or Olympic games, they do the national anthem after every game.
This is the World Juniors.
And because they won the gold medal, they did the Canadian national anthem.
Yeah.
And it seemed like all of Winnipeg was there, and everyone in one voice sang "O Canada," and you had goosebumps.
Yeah.
And
the thing with Grand Forks is 2 hours away from us, so it's super close. It's just you can go there for the weekend. Generally, we do. I got a package waiting for me down there that I got to go pick up.
Yeah.
But
if
anybody knows anybody going,
those are the two sporting events that I remember the most. The team that broke my heart first, and you remember I said the Bombers were the first team that I followed. The second was the Blue Jays. And in 1985, in my opinion, best Jays team.
See, I didn't follow baseball this time.
Best Jays team that ever existed, in my opinion. Barfield, Mosby, Bell were the outfield. Tony Fernandez,
I've met
my favorite shortstop.
I met Jesse Barfield
ever.
once.
Passed away since then. Kind of sad.
Tony Fernandez.
Dave Stieb, my favorite pitcher.
Jim.
Anyways, up 3-1 against the Kansas City Royals, and we're going to go to the World Series to face the St. Louis Cardinals, and we lost game
all
4.
5
game
and 6
5,
and 7.
game 6, game 7, and that last out when we lost in Toronto, and Steve Balboni, the first baseman, caught the ball and we lost. I think I cried.
Yeah,
tears of anguish.
I met Jesse Barfield at the Blue Jays store one day. Yeah. You know what he's doing?
What's that?
He was buying hats for a whole bunch of kids.
Jesse Barfield, from what I understand, is one of the best guys around.
He's amazing.
And he had a gun for. I remember in right field, he had just gun.
I was too young.
He had such a good arm. He was underrated because players just stopped trying his arm. They stopped trying to go for home, and so he would not be so. He would maybe lead the league in assists, but it wouldn't be as high as it would be because they just wouldn't try anywhere. They just gave up. You're not running on his arm. In my opinion, best arm ever. And I know you'll say Bo Jackson, etc. But
I started following the Blue Jays in #89, I believe it was. Hey, this is totally off track. Yeah, totally off topic. Do you know that one of the things I do is I wear a hat all the time, right?
Because of the bad hair.
Because of my bad hair. Yeah. I don't know if it's that much worse than yours, but anyway.
Actually, I'm not having a good hair day. I did have
maybe
a haircut.
It wasn't something you should have asked or talked about. But
maybe
anyway,
maybe I need a hat.
So my very first hat that I remember getting was a Montreal Expos hat. It's weird. I got pictures of myself. If I can find it, I'll put it up, but I don't know if I'll be able to find it. But I have pictures of myself wearing this Montreal Expos hat. It was like the old like floppy kind and everything like that. So today I'm wearing a Montreal Expos hat once again because the dream of having them back seems to be disappearing every single time a team decides that they're going to move and then they don't move.
Montreal needs to build a new stadium before they ever get a team in
But Tampa's now getting a new stadium, so we've lost the opportunity to get the Tampa Bay Rays to move to Montreal.
You can't. You have to. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, I digress from that.
Hubie Brooks, Andre Dawson,
Pedro Martinez.
Tim Wallach was my favorite Expo. He inspired me to play third. You ever play baseball and you pretend you're like a
Roberto
player?
Alomar. Roberto Alomar was the one.
I threw sidearm from a shortstop just because of Tony Fernandez.
I did jump throws because of Roberto Alomar.
Yeah. He's the one with the McCain punch. Remember that commercial?
Yes.
The one with McCain punch.
So that's my experiences and my favorite games. And how about you?
Hey, I don't have as many years. I don't have as many years as Tim.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
So, hey-o! Get me my 2x4. That was his prop. A 2x4? Oh, no, it wasn't even hey-o. It was, no, it was just, ho.
Maybe that's Ed McMahon I'm talking about. Hey-o!
That was Ed McMahon.
That's some weird, wild stuff, Ed.
My favorite, so I have a couple favorites. And obviously the Grey Cup, that was the first Bomber Grey Cup that I've been to. They won. Amazing trip. Like, you know, I got to hang out with some guys that I've been friends with ever since. We're starting a podcast because of that trip, all that kind of stuff. But one that I have as a child, as a memory, was Dave Winfield. Remember Dave Winfield?
Played for the Jays for one
year with the Jays.
He won a World Series with the Jays.
And then he signed with the Minnesota Twins.
Yep.
And
I remember that.
And Dave Winfield was a character. Like he was an awesome character. Anyway, so the Twins
that swing he had, that was crazy.
You know, and he wore a back catcher's helmet. He didn't even wear a full helmet.
Oh yeah,
he had
that's
no
right.
ear flaps.
That's right. I remember that.
So anyway, the Jays are playing the Twins the next year after the Jays won the World Series.
The good old Metrodome.
At the good old Metrodome. And me and my whole family go there. I was just a kid. So this would have been when they win the World Series.
They won in
92 and 93.
Yeah.
So this would have been in 93. I would have been 13 years old. We went to Minnesota. We got there a day early. We're going to go to the Jays game the next day. We got there the day early. And my dad's like, let's go to the Twins game tonight. The Twins are playing the A's. So we got there early enough. The Twins are playing the A's. And the reason why we wanted to go early was because Dave Winfield was one hit away from getting his 3,000th hit.
Right. So likely that he would get that hit that game.
We were hoping.
Yeah.
Well, either that game or the next game with the Jays, right? So we kind of like hedged our bets on that one. He gets the hit, and they had shirts already in the concourse. Like, instantly, He gets the hit. We go in the concourse. There's T-shirts ready with Dave Winfield's picture and a 3,000 across it. I wish I still had that shirt.
I remember getting tickets to the Metrodome to watch the Twins when you filled up a tank of gas. The old Metrodome, in some ways, was absolutely atrocious, and in some ways it had its charm.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember the plexiglass in the outfield?
Like a hockey rink.
Yeah. Do you remember the big baggie in the outfield where you hit a home run, almost like a garbage bag would hit?
Well, and you could see the seats behind the bag because the football seats were there. And if it had to go above the bag, like baseball was weird.
But for some reason, I guess because we were young and we have these memories associated, it's like the old exhibition stadium for Toronto, the worst stadium ever. But because I watched it when I was a kid, it has some kind of charm.
When I play video games, I still like to play at the Metrodome just because of the right field wall.
Yeah, horrid, but you just have an attachment to it. So.
I thought it was a good stadium for football. It was loud. It was a good stadium. It had turnstile things, so it was all airlocked at the stadium. I thought it was a cool stadium. I liked it, but I want to ask you then the second question of this is, where's the best place that you've traveled to see a sporting event?
So these are separate things. Best place I've been to that's associated with a sporting event.
Best place you've gone to see a sporting event, like
Best place, like best stadium. Best
no, like
city.
best experience in a sporting event. Like it could be like Wimbledon in London, I think.
I've never been to. I've always wanted to go. There's some
Waffled.
prices.
You've always waffled to go.
Have you seen prices like for some tennis championships?
No, I couldn't afford
I know
it.
the U.S. Open, like because like what Jerry Seinfeld was there at the final, and all like Sting was there, and all.
It's like a
famous
Super
people,
Bowl.
right? But it's some of these like Wimbledon finals, like $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 for a ticket, depending on where you're at.
It's like going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's like going to the Super Bowl. I've never been. Honestly, actually, I've never been outside the continent, to be honest. So any event is going to be in the U.S. or Canada.
So where was the best city that you've been to a sporting event
The
in?
best event, I would say New York.
Okay, that's on my list.
The New York is so. The great thing about New York is it's so big that in a small position of space, you have so many games you can go to.
You can go to all of them.
So I think it was 6 years ago. My buddies and I went to New York, and we saw
2018.
6 games in 6 days. We had 1 day off, and we had 1 day where we had 2 games. So we went to the Bears game against the Giants. And if you know anything about the NFL team in New York, they actually play in New Jersey. They don't play in New York. And that was at noon. Great game. Like we got $20
What
tickets.
does Sofia Vergara say? The New York Giants.
The New York Giants.
Do you know who that is, Sofia Vergara?
Yeah, I do. I don't.
Oh, okay.
I don't know the.
I've just seen clips of her saying New York Giants. I thought it's funny.
Anyways,
and those are football teams for anybody that doesn't know.
the New York
sports.
Giants is a football team. Yes, nobody that watches our podcast knows anything about sports.
Do you know the New York Giants used to be a baseball team?
Yes, I am very familiar, and the Brooklyn Dodgers, and they both moved to California.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But the New York Giants used to be a baseball team.
Yeah.
And so were the there's another the St. Louis Cardinals used to be a football team.
That I knew. Well, that's not too recent. I
But
mean,
they're
that's
now
not too old.
now both baseball teams.
Yeah, yeah.
Or opposite. I don't know.
Yeah, for
Either
sure.
way.
Anyway, so we saw at noon. We saw the Giants and Bears, and then we went to 6 o'clock. At Madison Square Gardens, the Jets were playing the Rangers, and so we saw those 2 games in 1 day. And we had seen 3 Jets games on that trip. So New Jersey, Long Island.
So what makes New
not
York?
Long Island? Sorry, is they were playing at Brooklyn at the time for those couple of years, and then the Giants game. Sorry. Then they were also playing at Madison Square Gardens, and the Jets won all 3, and they were down all 3 of them by at least 2 goals. And the one in against the Rangers, they were down 3-0 after 2 periods of play. Score. Tied. Brian Little tied it with I think 4 minutes left. So anyway, so the Jets tied it at 3, won in overtime. But the funny thing is, afterwards, we went outside. We're celebrating the win.
Good old New York.
And of course, I had
Were you singing
done the
New
whole,
York, New York?
Good old Frank Sinatra. I was
Yeah.
not though.
Okay.
I love Frank Sinatra. Ties to the mafia.
Another mob.
By the way, thanks for the sit down today. Anyway,
I don't know what that means.
but there was a I forgot about that. Sit down is in the mafia. It's like a meeting. You call it a sit down.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, and afterwards there was a Ranger fan with his girlfriend, and he had maybe had a few too many drinks. And
Wobbly pops, as they call them.
And he had said something to me, and I might have said something back to him. And
No, you would never say anything back.
He was ready to come at some physical action toward me, and my 3 friends said they had my back, but they were at the restaurant across the street. But I was kind of worried maybe that, I don't know what happens to you. You get in a fight in New York, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't do
you
it.
get hauled out in jail or something like that?
When you're talking about that heckling thing, it reminds me of a story of when I was at Labor Day.
Okay. Yeah.
One starts out with my very first Labor Day. We lose. This was the 2009 Labor Day, I believe.
Well, technically, your first Labor Day was when you were a baby, but continue.
First Labor Day game that I went to Saskatchewan.
Thank you.
We lose. And I'm walking back.
So this would be 14 years ago.
This would be 14 years ago. And we're walking back, and we're getting heckled all the way back because we're wearing bomber stuff. I turn around and I yell, "I'm just visiting. What's your excuse?" And the person that's right behind me goes, "Hi there, I'm Brad Wall. I'm the premier of this fine province."
Of Saskatchewan.
Of Saskatchewan. And the worst part, he knew Lorraine. Because Lorraine used to work in Regina back in the day. So that's my first story. And the second story happens also when we are leaving a Regina game. This was when the Bombers got blown out. I think it was like 50-0 or something.
55-0.
55-0.
I was there. Trust me, I remember the score.
We left early. We left probably like at the beginning of the fourth quarter or so. So we're walking back to our hotel from the old Taylor Field. And as we're walking back from the hotel, this could be really scary if you're a child, but a van pulls up in front of us and opens the door. And we're all thinking, are we getting kidnapped? No. The sheepdogs lean out of the van and yell, "You suck!" And then close the door to the van and drive away. The sheepdogs were the halftime show of the Labor Day game, and they yelled, "You suck." I went on Twitter. I said the sheepdogs heckled me, and then I got absolutely destroyed on Twitter because everybody loves the sheepdogs.
Vaguely heard of them. It's not my kind of music, but
I like the sheepdogs.
It's a pretty good
They were
story.
on the Rolling Stone.
So the
the
moral
cover.
of the story is Greg shouldn't talk.
So yeah, that's like my, couple times that I've gotten heckled after games, which, you getting heckled in New York is probably a little bit less safe than me getting heckled in Regina.
Ask me the worst place to get heckled I've ever been
Where's the
heckled at.
worst place you've ever been heckled?
Bar none. Worst fan base in the world is for being not nice.
Yeah.
Philly.
Yeah.
Philly
I've heard
every
that a
day
lot.
of the week. Every day and twice on Sunday. Philly fans. Terrible. Horrible.
For anybody that's listening in Philly, I love you. Brotherly love.
Brotherly love.
It's,
My
it's
favorite
all,
s-
he says you're terrible with love.
My favorite singing group is from Philly.
Boys to Men.
ABC, BBD.
You love the Motown.
DBD, is it BBD?
You love,
DBD?
and we saw at the last Vikings game we went to in December, we saw Boys to Men's children
Yeah.
sing the national anthem. It was actually really good.
Wanye's kids, and it made me feel very young.
No, there was
/
5 kids.
Opposite. Was it just Wanye's? Or maybe it was everybody's. I thought it was
Oh, I
Wanye's
thought you
kids.
said it was just one person's kids.
Yeah, one kids. I thought it was Wanye's kids.
Who's Wanye?
Wanye is...
I thought you were saying like one person's
is a
kid.
member of... Wanye Morris
Yeah.
is
Maybe
the,
it was
the
just
lead
his kids.
singer of Boys to Men.
It might have just been his kids. But
And,
either way, there was 5 of them,
by the way-
and they
by
did a
the way,
great job. They could be the
fantastic
new
singer.
Boys to Men.
Wanye Morris might be one of the top
Hey,
10 singers I've ever
Speaking
heard.
of singers, did you know, and I think I brought this up to you, we mentioned Chaka Khan inadvertently in both of our first 2
I think
episodes.
it's Shaka, but not Chaka.
Chaka Khan.
It's not Chaka. Chaka.
Inadvertently, now it's all 3 of our episodes.
Yeah.
Chaka Khan, you mentioned going to see her in the first episode.
Yeah.
Episode 2, she actually sings Reading Rainbow's theme song.
That's crazy. And you'd mentioned that. I totally forgot about it. But,
And I'm like,
did she really?
so like, is Chaka Khan, like, if she's not listening or watching yet, like, why isn't she? This is just free advertisements for her. If you go to Chaka Khan's website and put in the code GREG&TIM, you can get $5 off her CD.
That's not at all accurate. But
You can't?
No, you can't. We can't do that.
Okay, Chaka Khan, call me.
Still Shaka.
Chaka.
Not Chaka. It's not Chaka. It's Shaka.
Chaka Khan. Call me. Okay. So, anyway, I just thought that was interesting how she's intertwined in all of our stuff so far.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
But you love your Motown.
I love my Motown. I love Motown. And
So-
that's not even one of the things that people don't know about me.
So, Tim.
Ayo!
Oh!
You're right. He did not do Ayo.
He did not do AO. Tell me. Something I don't know about you.
Time for the segment. Something you don't know about Tim. Do go on. Tell us more.
Well, I've narrowed it down. There are 3 things.
Holy smokes, we got 3 episodes planned already then. 3 next episodes.
So there's various things about me.
There's a lot of things I don't know about Tim.
Yeah.
This one, let's see if I know this one.
Well, this is not things that you don't know about me. This is things that
They don't know about
people
you.
in
Yes.
podcast land don't know.
Yes.
Because, of course, I've told you many things deep down in the pit of my heart, feelings and et cetera, and secrets that you'll take to the grave.
Secrets, I will.
Maybe I'm
take.
overdoing it.
Yeah.
But they that
You're
are
getting
listening,
a little mafioso on me.
these are things
But they
just
don't know
when
about
they
you.
think
Okay, tell
I'm
us.
out. They
Okay,
pull
you're
me
done.
back in.
Okay, are we going to go to the next segment, or are we going to find out something we don't know about you?
So, I'm an only child. I have no brothers. I have no sisters. I am an only child. And that is something that most people don't know about me.
Awesome. That time we said, and sometimes there will be no laughing.
Yeah. There are some advantages to being an only child.
I understand. I'm not an only child. I have a brother. Well, I have 2 brothers, an older brother and a younger brother. I only lived with my younger brother, but I don't know what it would be like being an only child.
Do you ever wish, like I know you don't have the experience of both, and neither do I.
Yeah.
But do you ever wish, because your brothers were getting on your nerves, you didn't get along with them? I'm sure those times when you were growing up. What's the age difference between you?
So who do you play catch with when you're an only child?
Yeah, see, these are the things, right? And I didn't have,
friends.
Well, I had some friends, but a
Real
lot of the times it was just me or whatever, right? So I did have a couple friends that used to play baseball all the time. We'd pitch and hit, and I guess the concept.
Did they let you
baseball.
play?
Yeah, no.
Yes, I know the concept of baseball. That's something I know the concept
Yeah,
of.
you don't seem too interested in me telling people that I was an only child. I still am an only child.
Well, it's something we don't know about you.
Yes,
I just don't know.
It fits the
if
bill. It's the segment. Things that people don't know. What else? What, like, you seem disappointed.
I thought we were going to get something ground shaking.
I think that's pretty ground shaking.
Yeah.
Not everybody. Like,
Well,
people
let's
have
just check
most
this.
people aren't only children. You know that?
Well, because that segment went so great,
I
let's
think
just check to see.
10% of the population are only children. Maybe less. I threw that stat out.
I think you're just making stats
I
up.
made that stat
making
up.
numbers
I'm going
up.
to check out
What are
the
you,
podcast.
Kelly Ripa now? Just making things up.
Kelly Ripa. One of our
I
other
know,
trips
you went and
to
saw
New
Kelly
York,
Ripa.
Kelly Ripa and Ryan Seacrest, and we went to the show. And there's a whole big long story. I'm not going to get into that, but it ended with she jumped into my friend's arms during the taping.
Ryan Seacrest did.
They both did.
They both did. I didn't know that.
My friend gave her a big hug.
Oh, wow.
We were in the first row.
Since that segment went so well, do you want to give Avery a call and see what she's up to instead?
Absolutely. Roll the clip. Song, clip, something.
What's Avery doing now?
Hey,
How's it going?
good.
What are you up to?
Working.
All right. Just checking up.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
She's a talkative, chatty Cathy, isn't she?
She is working right now, so.
But
Okay, we're seeing 20%? Oh, it's way off. 20% of
people are only children. Wow.
That's way higher than I would have thought.
Yeah. Okay.
Greg, what's up next? You got some more questions for me?
So I do have some questions from the Instagram. So just a little quick thing. I got some serious flack on Instagram and YouTube when I posted the history major portion of the video. No. We're not going into anything. Either way, it was a joke.
Right.
But I thought it was funny because I'd like to catch Tim off guard.
Can I explain? Someone said that
They explained it very well.
Understand my example of what grade that someone was in grade 8.
Yeah.
Something about that. It wasn't that it was an example of a question. It was the relevancy of the
That's right.
question.
No, I know.
The number of the numerical order of the presidents, to me, was such an irrelevant answer that I compared it to asking what person the great, not that it was a good question, but that it was irrelevant.
Yeah, and you know what? Some of the people that commented on it brought up some very good points, and I took them under advisement. Right. So I will no longer ask you questions about history.
You know what?
Without knowing
I found
the history first.
Not that some people were responding, that some people were actually being a little bit rude, to be honest. That's not what amazed me, is that we had so much response to that question. Good,
I know.
bad. Like this is fun. This is great. Like, this is what we want. We want people to interact with us.
Yeah.
Good, bad, ugly. We want interaction, and I appreciate everyone's comments.
Except for the one guy.
Except for the one guy that said our show was not great and used a different word.
He used a different word.
But it's awesome that people are interacting, and I really do appreciate that.
So I'm going to bring up a couple questions here.
Yep.
The first one I got memorized is...
As you look at your phone, I have it memorized. Let me read it.
I did have it memorized. I was going to say before I even brought it up. It's for the history major. What does the D in D-Day stand for?
The D in... So you get, these are history questions that have
Well,
been
this one's a
sent to
history
you.
question. We just put it out like, anybody have questions for us? This is
Right.
one of the questions. What does the D in D-Day stand for?
I know this. What was this is Normandy. But that's
Normandy.
doesn't start with D. Honestly, off the top of my head.
Billy, can you look that up for us?
On the
And then just show Tim?
off the top of my head, and I'm sorry, I don't know what the D stands for.
The D in D-Day stands for... Day?
Day? Okay, that's so... again, irrelevant.
I don't think that's right.
I don't like the question. Yeah, completely irrelevant. Good question.
But you should have known the answer. You're a history major.
It's a silly answer that
means
has no relevance.
day.
It means day.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's your favorite show?
Cheers.
Really? I like Cheers.
And we went to Boston for the first time this past spring.
You are a Wanderlust.
And
Lover of travel.
We have pictures at the Cheers bar, which inside doesn't really look like the Cheers bar, but
On the outside
does.
it does, yeah.
And a beautiful park there. I really like Boston, but we spent the first 2 days of our 10-day trip to New York in Boston, and it was awesome. Yeah. Do you remember
My favorite show, like right now? That's a tough one.
No, this is show of all time. I assume
Favorite show of all time? I would go with Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Hey, we're going to Seinfeld on Friday.
2 days from now, or if you say the same day.
Today.
Taping is today.
We're going to Seinfeld.
It's clearly Friday.
Hey, you know what else is happening on Friday?
What's that?
The iPhone is getting released.
Really, the new one, eh?
The new iPhone.
That's exciting.
What's your thoughts on the iPhone?
I think the iPhone's a fantastic phone. What is it now? 15?
It's at 15.
Yeah. I have some other thoughts about the iPhone, but
Are
I'm
you
not going to share them at
do you use an iPhone or do you use an Android?
I am a Samsung. I use an Android.
So you're the guy that ruins all the group chats.
That is correct.
So you know the group chats
Okay, so
where everybody's on an iPhone, everybody has a blue bubble, and then Mr. Green Bubble pops in and ruins everybody's blue bubbles. Have you seen the commercial?
That's how iPhone sets it up.
Have you seen the commercial?
No.
Where the guy, like, he comes in and he's, like, in the neighborhood and he's new to the neighborhood and the guy's like, hey, no, I'll give you, like, here's the keys to my backyard and here's
yes,
my lawnmower.
yes,
here's
I
everything.
have, actually.
Oh, well, let me put you on the
Yeah,
group chat.
yeah,
And he
yeah,
goes, okay,
yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, hey. He's like, green bubble? And then he just starts yelling at him and he throws him out of the yard. He takes his keys back.
So I'll give you my actual.
You're the green bubble guy.
I'm going to give you my actual opinion of iPhones.
Yeah.
Because I want the flack back from people this week because I really appreciate it. iPhone is a fantastic phone. It's overpriced. It's overpriced.
Why do you like Samsung costs the same amount?
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
Now it does. It might. You're right. Yeah.
So you think it's overpriced for what you get?
Yes, I do.
I don't agree with you.
Well, you sell them, but
I sell Samsungs too.
okay. So why is that? What's coming out Friday from the iPhone? You tell me. What are the products?
So the new iPhone is made out of titanium.
Okay.
And it's like this. It's titanium. It's a new material. It has a new camera on the Pro Max. The iPhone 15 and 15 Plus both have the dynamic island on them now, which is a cool little feature. There's a whole bunch of little things that they've added. Better cameras, ProRes cameras for recording. You can record in 4K in ProRes on an iPhone Pro Max to an external hard drive. They have USB-C. I'm talking about a lot of things that Tim's brain can't comprehend.
Two of my kids have iPhones. They like their iPhones, so
Yeah, so they can be in the group chat.
they could be in the group chat. So
Do you know in iPhone group chats you can leave?
and
On
you can't?
Android group chats you can't leave.
Yeah, okay, fair point.
Fair point
Fair point.
indeed.
So Friday that comes out.
Friday that comes out, and then speaking of iPhone,
Yep.
did you know that I had actually heard from somebody recently that was listening to our podcast? Do you remember Jeff from Montreal?
I do.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic guy. I really like that guy. Really like that guy.
Yeah.
Not
He,
only because he paid for our supper, which
Yes.
is going to get me in his good books anyway.
he also helped us go to the Montreal Canadiens game.
He did, yeah.
Yeah. So they have a new product called Blu Element. And when I spoke to him, I told him about our podcast. And I said, hey, any chance that we should talk about your product on the podcast? And he said, yes, we should.
Yeah, I'm pumped about this. You told me about this last night. Blu Element. He's going to be an awesome addition to our podcast for
Yeah.
promotion. I said this 2 episodes ago. I
Yeah.
love the name, Blu Element. Like, isn't that the best name for a product? Blu Element. Oh, I love it.
You did say that 2 episodes ago. It wasn't in the episode.
Right.
Still. But it was something you had said. Did you know that their slogan is making everyday tech accessories to help you crack a smile and not your screen?
Of course, we wouldn't have used it. They weren't our sponsor.
It sounds like something you would say.
How many times have you cracked a screen?
Once I didn't have a screen protector on.
Uh,
So Blu Element has like cases, screen protectors, chargers, battery banks, wireless chargers, like basically everything.
So I'm as soon as we're done here, I'm going to look on their website. I'm going to order something for sure.
Yeah.
100%. I'm looking forward to it.
You should check out their Instagram though.
Okay.
Their Instagram has this guy named Jack on it.
Hi guys, I'm going to pass the phone to the nicest person in the office.
I'm going to pass the phone to the most technologically challenged person in the office.
Okay, I'm going to pass the phone to the smartest person in the office.
I'm gonna pass the phone to the guy with the biggest beard in the office.
Me again. I'm going to pass the phone to the guy who is always late.
I'm gonna pass the phone to the oldest person in the office.
I'm going to pass the phone to someone who is always hungry.
I'm going to pass the phone to the person with the most white hair in the office.
Okay, I'm fed up with this game.
So yeah, that's Jack who works for Blu Element. He's become a character on their show.
I heard he's a 75-year-old intern that they have working at Blu Element. So interesting things there.
Interesting things indeed.
The clips were hilarious that you showed me.
So, long story short, they're going to partner up with us.
Yeah.
And they're going to give any one of our listeners that wants to buy stuff on Blu Element, they're going to give them 15% off. They just have to use the code GREG&TIM, and the "and" is the "and" symbol in the middle, all one word. So if they go to blueelement.com, so it's spelled BLUELEMENT.com, and use Greg and Tim code, they're going to get 15% off. And yeah, we're going to link it in the bottom there and all the information and stuff, so people can click on that guy.
This way you don't break the bank or your phone, if you know what I mean. Because life is too short for boring tech accessories. Am I right, Greg?
You, sir, are correct.
That is correct, sir.
Why do you always do the pirate voice whenever things
Is that
come
Ed
up?
That is correct, sir. Is that Ed McMahon?
I don't know.
Hey-o!
Hey-o!
Remember those publishers clearing checks for $2 million from Ed McMahon in the 80s or whatever?
Back in the day, it was I always thought he was going to visit my house.
You know what? I watch old Johnny Carson reruns.
And here's Johnny.
So, Greg, I have a question that has been on my mind for a little while, and I think this is kind of a good way in which to bring it up.
Okay.
To have a conversation here.
Let's have a conversation.
To have a sit down as we talk about this.
Is this an intervention?
Yeah.
Did my wife put you up to this?
No.
Oh, okay.
So I was watching an interview with Greg Laurie. Who is a pastor. He was one of the main characters in the recent movie
Jesus Revolution. Yeah,
and he's a pastor that still is around. He does a lot of interviews, and he was interviewing Alice Cooper. Alice Cooper, most people know, is
from the band Alice Cooper,
rock legend.
Yeah,
and he used to be addicted to drugs and alcohol. And he says that typically men have a tendency to have an addictive personality. And he says all he did was he took what he used to be addicted to and transferred it to the golf course.
Now I needed to relax from it.
Yeah.
And I would start this habit again. I still have this habit, but now it's Diet Coke.
Wow.
Everything. You never lose that habit, but it's just what you're drinking now. But that's it. I can't do anything addictive. The only thing addictive to me right now is golf.
Yeah. You play how many days a week?
I play 6 days a week.
Incredible.
So golf is
so that's his new addiction.
If anyone doesn't know anything about Alice Cooper, you would think he's an avid golfer. I think he's a very good golfer, and
like he's become a good golfer now.
He's become a very good golfer apparently. But that was his statement that men, and there's no absolute like 80-20 rule. Always 20% of the people don't adhere to that.
Yeah.
But for the most part, is the statement men generally have a more addictive personality than females do, as in, they are more apt to get involved in XYZ either through money, through sports, just over-insert themselves and do something really quite a bit and be on the addictive side. What are your thoughts on that?
Well...
And if the answer,
to the question again.
If the answer
did Lorraine put you up to this question?
And if the answer is yes, what's your addiction? And
well, that's why I'm asking you.
And maybe we could ask the viewers if they agree with that sentiment.
Yeah.
And not only that, but
males and females, or just males? Like, is this just a
to
men
a certain
thing?
extent? And again, I want to emphasize this as a generalization.
Yeah.
I'm not saying all men are prone to have an addictive personality and no women are.
Yeah.
Again, 80-20 rule, I'll always say there's always an exception to the rule. But generally, do men gravitate to an addictive personality to a certain area, and what that addiction is? Obviously, I'm not asking people what their addiction is. That's a terrible question.
No, but so you're saying, do you think that men generally have an addictive personality?
Yeah.
And the reason why I keep saying, did Lorraine put you up to this is because, I've had addictions in the past. And they're not bad. They're not bad addictions. They're not oh, you did drugs. Me personally, I've never smoked anything in my life or done any drugs in my life or anything like that, which is probably why my addiction is, right now is hats.
Right. Purchasing hats. Such as
this one
Expo
that I'm wearing. I probably have a couple hundred hats in my closet.
A couple hundred? What, 200-300?
I could wear a different hat every episode, and we can go for 2 seasons.
Again, ballpark me how many hats you have.
Oh man, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4 times 3 is 12 times. I'm gonna say probably about 150 to 200.
So we max out at 200. 200 hats.
Yeah.
Let's assume it's 200. That's a lot of hats.
You know what? I'll count them before the next episode, and I'll let you know
I have
how many.
5 hats, and 2 of them were giveaways.
More than 2.
No, 2.
You only wear free hats.
Actually, no. Maybe I do have 4 free hats.
Yeah. You have the Jays hat that we got at the Jays game.
That's true.
I gave you a Pittsburgh Pirates hat.
2.
You got the Manitoba Moose hat.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 hats that I see you wear.
And 2 Patriots hats from the paint store. I paint houses. I don't know if you knew.
We knew that. But no, that would be my addiction. And you know what? The funny thing is, previously to that, I bought a lot of jerseys. Shout out to our buddy Dave for the jersey addiction, because I think that he might agree that there's an addictive personality. He sent us new pictures of his jerseys this week, all hanging up in his office. He has like 20 jerseys hanging up in his office. That's just hanging up. He's not even wearing those ones. Those ones are for show. I used to have a jersey addiction, and previously, before, so like I had the jersey addiction, I would say is an addiction. I bought a lot of jerseys before the Jets came back, and then I just started buying Jets jerseys, which I have a lot of. And my wife would probably also say that I had an addiction to watches for a brief time before I got an Apple Watch, and now I only own the Apple Watch. That's the only one
your
I wear.
addiction is in for spending and specifically to sports merchandise, whether it be hats or jerseys.
Hats is my big thing.
Right. I have only one, and that's I literally only spend money on travel.
That's your addiction.
Yeah, so I will
Wanderlust.
I spend half my day thinking about where the trips are I'm going to go next.
So let's just, to break this down, how many trips do you have left before the end of the year?
Like little weekend trips. Like
Any trips, just travel.
Going 1 to Calgary, October. 2 in November to concerts.
Mm-hmm.
Billy Joel.
Billy
US
Joel,
Bank.
yeah.
That's one of Billy Joel is one of my bucket list performers.
And this will be the first time you see him?
First time I've seen him, and
Okay.
I want to get that because I mean, how many more years is he gonna?
Fair enough.
Uptown Girl.
Gonna go for some Al's breakfast.
Al's breakfast, yeah, which we still haven't talked about. But no.
Yep.
So that's 3 so far. Then I think that's only 3. I think that's only
You just have the 3
weekend
trips?
Yeah, Calgary,
Okay.
Minneapolis.
And then in the new year, you've got a cruise.
We are going to Hawaii on a cruise from San Fran.
And then you've got spring break.
Then we're going to spring training.
So you've only got 5 trips planned so far.
I feel I'm missing one, but
probably. You've got other trips that are planned. You're planning to go to Chicago again next August.
That's in August.
Yeah, that's a long time. You're not even looking at that's more than 11 months away.
So getting back to the topic, this is like for me an interesting question.
So this is the question you'd like to ask the audience.
I would love to get some answers back from people about if they agree with my premise or the premise that was stated. I actually didn't say it was my premise; it was Alice Cooper's premise.
Yeah.
If they agree with that premise, and I'm not asking if it's a really serious addiction. I don't need people sharing that. But like, what are some of the?
We don't want people to share their addictions, but do they agree with?
Don't tell me I am addicted to. That kind of conversation, but
I'm gonna bleep that out.
If it's things like hats, jerseys, trips, some of the more interesting, or like some guys are more prone to invest in higher kinds of
some people
higher risk funds too.
Some people are addicted to the stock market.
Yeah, that's right.
Some people are addicted to buying houses.
Yeah.
Some people are addicted to socks. Yeah. Some people are addicted to jerseys.
Yeah. So what are the more, how about I put it this way? What are the more interesting addictions that you would have? So those are the 2 questions.
So,
1, do you agree with the premise that Alice Cooper states that men are more prone to addictive personality?
Yeah.
That's number 1.
And number 2.
And number 2, what are some of the more interesting addictions that you might have or your spouse might have, or et cetera, et cetera?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think that gets us to the end of the show, Tim.
That's right at the end.
It's like literally, I can see the finish line. Can you see it? Yes. Because I can see the finish line, I just I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite child?
This was asked to me already.
I know.
Yeah, I'm not answering that question.
But your children keep asking.
It's kind of like it changes. Like, you know how McDonald's has the Employee of the Month plaques?
Do you do that at home?
I just have Child of the Month
plaques on your walls.
So like, one person's won it 3 months of the year, the other person's won it 4. So it just kind of incentivizes them to behave and do dishes, which never get done, and et cetera, et cetera. So that's kind of what I do.
Awesome.
Just put a different plaque on the month, so it changes month to month. And if anyone thinks I'm serious, I'm not. That's a joke. I don't need responses like, "You do that with your kids? That's terrible."
I'm going to make this into a short and see how many responses we get.
I love my children for different reasons.
Some more than others.
No, that's not accurate. Equally.
Anybody you'd like to say goodbye to today, Tim?
I see you, Johnny. I see you, Adam. I see Eugenie, and I see all of you friends at home. Goodbye.
Come and knock on our door. Come and knock on our door. We've been waiting for you. We've been waiting for you. Where the kisses are hers and his, three's company too.
Thanks for watching the Greg and Tim Show podcast. See you again next week. These guys can only get better with practice. Remember to share, like, subscribe, and all that stuff.
Yeah. You said a couple hundred, and then it was 190, 150, 200 for hats. It was like
150, 200, I said. Well,
Yeah,
200 is a couple hundred.